Hello, dear students. Hope you are doing well. Today it's our lecture number 11, and in this lecture, we will learn about the use of functions and recursion in Python. So, here we will discuss what are functions and how they are used in our program, and also we will discuss about recursion, what is a recursion, and why do we use recursion in our programs. Now, first of all, let me explain the topic functions. What are functions? Functions are a block of reusable code that performs a specific task. That means in function, when we make a function, we put that code in the function that is reusable, that may be used more than once. We put that in functions, and what it does, it performs a specific task. Second thing, it helps us to modularize code and improve readability. By this we keep the code modularized and the readability is also improved. Reduces the redundancy. That means it reduces the repetition of the same code in our program and makes debugging easier. So this was about what are functions and why do we use them. Here is an example of a function where the function displays the name with hello. I have written a function here that's known as greet, and here if I have defined the function greet, and whatever the name you provide to it, it will display the name here. So this was about functions. Now first of all, let us make a function in VS Code so that it becomes clear to you. So I will create a file first. I will name it as functions.py. Now you should remember that while defining a function, you have to keep two things in mind. First one is the function call, when you are going to call the function, and second one is function definition, in which you write the code that you want to put under that you want to call more than once. That is a reusable code. Let us suppose I want to do the addition of two numbers. I can simply do it like this: a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. I will write c is equal to a plus b. Then I will do what? I will do print c. And when I run my code, you can check here. When I run my code here, you can see 30 is displayed. Now what if suppose after a few set of instructions, just like I have written here hello, and I will write some another line of code. Then if I require the same function, I have to do now another addition of two numbers. So what will be the solution? That means I have to repeat this code once again. That is the only solution through which I can. So far we have discussed the things. The solution comes out that we have to repeat this code. I have to copy this code and then I have to paste it here. And when I run this program, the same code, even though it gives us the results, but the same code is repeated twice in my program. So that is not an efficient thing. So for that purpose, what we do, we put the code that is reusable. That's why while defining the functions, I said that we put the reusable code under functions so that we can reuse it how many times we want. Now let me delete this and I will create a function for that. Now how do we create a function? We use the keyword first def, and then you will write the name of your function. Suppose I want to name this function as addition. Then here you have to put the arguments. I will write here a comma b. Then you have to write semicolon here, and here you have to use the keyword return. I will explain this to you what it means here. A plus b. Now after doing this thing, I have to call my function. I will say sum is equal to, I will call this function using the name of function and passing it the arguments. I will say 10 comma 20. Now when I print this, I will print sum. Now when I will run this program, I am getting the same result. So what actually happens here, you define a function once, the code that you want to execute, that is reusable code, you define that in function, and as many times as you require the code in your program, you will just call this. Here it's known as this definition. I will write here this addition and passing 25 comma 35. This is known as function call. You should remember this, where we call the function. And where is the definition? A function has two things here. One is function call and another one is function definition. This one is the function definition. I will copy this and I will write here in comments that it's a function definition. Now suppose if I comment out my code and I will print here hello. Now what do you think the output of the program will come? Will I get the result a comma this addition of a plus b? Let us check. When I run the program, I got the output only hello. Why so? Because the reason for this is that because I have not called the addition function. Unless and until you call a function, the function won't be executed by itself. So if I need to call this, I will write print. I will say addition. Here the addition comes. I will write here 36 comma 78. Now when I run this program, I got the answer 114. Now look at this program. What happens when you call the addition function is called here. The value of 36 is copied in A and the value of 78 gets copied in B. Then we use the return keyword. What does the return keyword do? It returns the value from the function. Either you can print the value directly or you can store this in a variable. Here what it does, we have written return a plus b. What it does here, it does the addition of 36 and 78 and returns the value. Since we have not declared a variable where we will store it, it will print it directly here. I can use the function like this, just as I have written earlier here. I will copy this code once again, Control X. I will paste it here. Now you can see when I run this program, what it does, sum is equal to addition is not defined. Addition is defined. I have to first save it. Now the answer I got is 30. How? Because what is this? Addition 10 comma 20. This is a function call. It goes to where? It goes to the addition function. Here the value of 10 is stored in A and 20 is stored in B. What it does later on? It returns A plus B. So it will return you 10 plus 20. So the answer comes out 30. That 30 will be stored in sum, and here when I print the value of sum, I am getting 30. So this was about how you create a function, how you call a function. So let us move to our types of functions. So here we have two types of functions. One is built-in functions, just like print. What is print function? It is basically a built-in function. And the second one is user defined functions that we create using def keyword. I will show you here. Check out this. What is this print? I have written it this in brackets. What is it? This is a call. What it does, it calls the print function, and here you provide the argument. I will say Asif, and when I run this program, you can check Asif is printed here. So we have built-in functions also, and we have user defined functions. This addition here, it's a user defined function because it is defined by me, and no matter how many times you will call it, it will it will give you the same result every time. And if any error occurs, you don't have to scroll down in the code. You don't have to do that. You just have to check where the error is. If the error lies in the function, just you have to modify the function, and rest, when it is called, it will give you the correct result. So this was about the types of functions. Now I also told you that we pass the parameters. This is the input parameter. Just like I have written a comma b, here I have passed 3 comma 4. What is this? This is basically a parameter that we pass to a function. And return statement sets back the function results. It sends us the result of the function. Now I will show you default parameter. Suppose I write a function here that prints the name of a person. I will say, I will name this function as name, and here I will define it return no, I will name it here the function I will call here this as result is equal to name, and here I will pass the name as Asif. So here what I have done, what I will do here, I will receive this variable in a value. I will say name. I will name the variable as name. Then here I will print this function, the name of this variable. What is the name of this variable? Name. And I will return it. I will say return print name. Now you can see when I call this function, what do I get? The result. The result I got is here the Asif. How? Because the parameter that I have passed here, it goes here in this variable, and here it prints the name and returns, and the result is stored in this variable. If I print this result, you can check the value in result also. We will do this thing also. You can see the value here returned is null. Why? Because we have only printed a name, we have not passed any value. Now can we make a function like this? I won't return anything. Will it work? Yes, it works fine. So there is no need of writing the return statement always. Mostly we use functions for doing the calculations or some other tasks, but here you can see I had to just print the name. So here what I have done, I have just created a function that's known as name. Here I have passed the variable Asif. That Asif variable goes in this variable name, and here I can make a little bit formatting of this. I will do hello, then I will make a space here. I will print it like this. Hello. I have I closed the F string. Now any name that I pass, that is displayed here. I will remove this Here I will remove this also. When I run my program, you can check I am getting hello Asif. For example, if I pass here the value Wasim, now what will be the output? Hello Wasim. So this was about the functions. Now suppose if you don't pass any value, you just call it, then what will you do? I will show you the use of default. If nothing is passed, then say I will say I will write a name computer. Now if I call the function name, but here I don't pass any value. When I don't pass any value, then it will take which value? It will take the value of default. Here name is equal to computer is a default value. When I run this program, you can see here hello computer is printed when nothing is passed, when you don't pass anything. Now if I pass, for example, if I pass hello, you can check here hello gets printed. And if nothing is passed, what will happen? It will print hello, then name of then the name that you have passed. So this was about creating functions. Now there is another topic that is known as recursion. What is basically a recursion? If a function starts calling itself, when a function calls itself to solve a problem, then it's known as recursion. We have used these recursions are used in problems like factorial, calculation, Fibonacci sequence, and tree traversal. But here you should remember that there should be a stopping condition up to which it will run, and after that it should not run. Otherwise this will go in an infinite loop and our program won't stop. That's why we have to use the recursions carefully. Now here I have defined a function. What is the function? Here the function I have defined is, I have named this as factorial, and I am passing which argument? I am passing an argument. Here I am giving the value here. What is the value here in n? It's 5. Now I have written a condition. You should note that in a recursion you have to necessarily put a condition. If you don't put condition, then your program will go in an infinite loop. You should remember this thing. If this is known as stopping condition, I am telling him that if n is equal to 0, then you should stop. You should not go ahead. Otherwise what you will do, you will return n into factorial of n minus 1. What does this factorial of n minus 1 does? It basically calls this function again. When you call first factorial 5, what it does, it goes here. Here it checks if n is equal to 0. No, n is not equal to 0. It will come here. So it will return 5 into factorial of n minus 1. What is the factorial of n minus 1? That is 4. This 4 is called again here. So basically here this thing, it's a function call here. It's a function call here. Now we will make a program on recursion. Let me show you. We will create a function def. We will name it as factorial, and we will pass the variable n. Now what we will do, we will first create a stopping condition when it should stop. I will tell him that if n is equal to 0, then you should return 1. Then you should return 1. Else what it will do? Else you should return n into, I am now calling the factorial function again, factorial of n minus 1, the factorial of n minus 1. Now when I call, I will say result is equal to, I will call this function factorial of 5, let us suppose. So here this is the first function call. It goes where? It will call this function, and here it checks is the value of n equal to 0. No, it will go in this else block. Here what it check, what is the value of n? It's 5 into factorial of n minus 1. What it does, I will first zoom this a little bit. No, it's okay now. What it does, it calls this same function again. Now if I print it, I print the result. If I print the result, you can check the result, the answer comes out to be 120. We have solved the same problem using what, using the for loop. Now we are using recursions here. Now here I have shown you the example what it does. Factorial 5, what it does, factorial 5 is called here. Now 5 goes here, it checks if 5 is equal to 0. No, it will return n. What is the value of n? It's 5 into factorial of 4. Now factorial 4 calls again this function, and it will return the result like this, 5 into, when the 4 function factorial 4 is called, then it calls the function again, and what it does, it says 4 into factorial of 3. When factorial of 3 is called, it calls, the statement here is 5 into 4 into 3 into factorial of 2. Now it again, when factorial 2 is called, the result comes 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, and we have written a stopping condition here, factorial of 1. And when the factorial of when the value of factorial is 1, it checks, no it's not, then it will return you 1. And here factorial is again called, but what is the value here? It's now 0. When the value comes to 0, it will return 1. That 1 will get multiplied with this, and we will get the result 120. So this was all about the functions and recursions in a program. Now I will summarize this. Why are functions used? Functions help in code reusability. You have to write your code once in the function definition, and you have to call it wherever you want to use it. You don't have to write the code again and again. Recursion allows solving problems by breaking them into smaller instances, just like you have seen. 5, calculate the factorial of 4, then calculate the factorial of 3, then 2, and then 1. Always ensure a proper base case in recursion. You should remember that you should have a stopping condition in recursion. Iteration is preferable for small, simple repetitive tasks. Write a program using functions to find greatest of 3 numbers. Now we will write a program. What it will do, we will pass it 3 arguments, we will pass it 3 numbers, and it will find the greatest of 3 numbers. We have done this program before also while we were studying about the if conditions, but here we have to do it using functions. So I will write a function for this. So what I will do, it's talking about, I will name this as program 1. It's talking about functions, so I will create a function. I will name it as greater. Here how many variables are required? 3. I will say num1, num2, comma num3. Here I will write a condition. If number 1 is greater than number 2, then check again. If number 1 is greater than number 3, then return, what it will return, you should return number 1. So this was about this if. Now I will write its else. What will be its else? The else will be, if number 1 is not greater than number 3, then obviously number 3 is greater. I will write here number 3. Similarly, if number 1 is not greater than number 2, then I will check else if number 2 is greater than number 3. If number 2 is greater than number 3, then what will I return? I will return number 2. Else what I will return? Else I will return number, I will say return here, I will say number 3. So this is our function definition. You can see here a line comes, that means it's the body of which function? It's the body of greater function. Now we will call this function, and we also want to store the result. I will say result is equal to, how can I call this function? I can use the name of the function. What is the name of the function? It's greater. And how many arguments does it require? It requires 3 arguments. So I have to pass how many variables? I have to pass 3 variables. So I will write here 23, 56 and 78. Now I want to print the greatest of the numbers. So I will write here result. When I run this program, you can check here, the answer comes 78, since 78 is the greatest. Now I will show you 23 gets copied in number 1, 56 in number 2 and 78 in number 3. Here it checks is number 1 greater than number 2? Is 23 greater than 56? No, it's not. Then it goes in the else block. And here what it checks is number 2. That means 56 is greater than number 3. No, it's not. Then it will return number 3. That number 3 that it returns, it gets stored in result, and here I am printing the result. Now suppose I write here 101, and when I run this program, you can check I am getting the greatest of the number 101. Why? Because number 1 is stored 101 is stored in number 1, 56 in number 2 and 78 in number 3. Here it checks is number 1, value in number 1 is 101. Is 101 greater than 56? Yes. Is 101 greater than 78? Yes. It will return number 1. So that's how this program works. Now I have written here a number of programs. You have to do most of them by yourself so that you can do practice, and without practice I will say that you can't do anything. You have to think how you can solve a problem. Now what I will do, I will make another program, write a Python program using function that converts Celsius to Fahrenheit. We will enter a the temperature in Celsius, and it will convert this into Fahrenheit. Now first of all, as you know, we will use the input function here to receive the temperature value. Program number 2, I will write here I will name this as CEL, Celsius input, enter the temperature in Celsius, and I will convert Celsius, and I will convert this into, and sorry, I am getting confused what is the spelling of this let me check it. CELSIUS. I was getting little bit confused, sorry for that. I will convert this into int. Now when I am receiving the value, I will write a function. Now let me create a function first. I will name def. I will start with the keyword def. Now first of all, once I take the value, I will write a function. I will name that as def, and I will name it as conversion, and what it will do, it will take the value of C. Then what is the formula for that? The formula for conversion into Fahrenheit is Fahrenheit is equal to C into n by 9 by 5 plus 32. So I will write Fahr is equal to C into n by 5, C into n by 5 plus 32. Now you should remember, I have not directly written C into, and then I have not written it like this. Why? Because our computer doesn't know. We have to tell him that you have to multiply. For that I am using the asterisk operator here. Now I will return Fahr here. Now what I will do now, once I have received the value from the user, I will call this function and will store the result. I will say Farren. I will name the result as Farren, and I will call the function conversion. And what I have to pass, I have to pass the value entered by user. And now I will print the result. Print. I will print the result here. So now when I run this program, you can check, and suppose I entered 36, the value comes out to be 96.8. How it does conversion? Obviously it calls the function, the conversion here, and here C is the value that we have entered gets stored in C, and here the calculation is performed, and then return far. This far gets stored in Farren variable, and here I am printing the variable. Now if I run this program again and I write here 37, the answer comes out to be 98.6001. So now I want to give you an assignment. How do you prevent a Python print function to print a new line at the how do you prevent a Python function to print a new line at the end? So what it means basically, if I will close this program, I will write here hash program 3. I will write here print I, then I will write here print, will write here am, is it doing this, print learning Python, learning Python. Now when I run this program, you can see I is printed on first line, and once it encounters another print statement, it automatically shifts into the next line. I want this to be printed on a single line. So what I will do, I will say, I will use the keyword ends is equal to, I will write here, put a space. I will also write here end is equal to space here. Now when I run this program, you can see it comes on the same line by using the end keyword. If you want to print it in a single line, then you can use the end keyword. So this was our program number 3. Now program number 4 is an assignment for you. Write a recursive function to calculate the sum of first and natural numbers. It is the same program that you have done using what? Using the while loop that I gave you as an assignment. Suppose if I enter 5, it should give you the answer of 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Now what you have to do here, you have to write a function. But what in a recursive function, what will be the stopping condition? You will check if the value of n is equal to 0, then you should return 0. Otherwise it has the same logic as in the recursive function that we use it to calculate the factorial of a number. Now this is also an assignment for you. Write a Python function to print first n lines of the following pattern. Suppose I enter 3, then it should print it like this. And another assignment is write a Python function to remove a given word from a list and strip it at the same time. You will make a string first and also keep a space in it. Then you will pass a name. You want to what you will do, you will first write a string and you will write some word in it, and also you put a space in it. Then using the function, you should be able to remove the spaces in it and replace some word in your text with some other word. Write a Python function to print multiplication table of a given number. This we have done using while loop. Now we will use we have to do this function. Now this time you have to use it using functions. You have to learn how to use the function. What you will do here in this program, you will create a function. Let us suppose you will name this that function as multiplication, and you will pass the variable, let us suppose 5 you are passing. Then inside the function, the logic will be the same, that you use it for what, that you use it for the calculation of the multiplication. And then you will have you will start printing the results using the loop. So this was all about the use of functions and recursion in our program. I hope you understood this lecture very well. Here I am repeating once again. What are functions? A block of reusable code that performs a specific task, because in functions we put only that code which is reusable. Otherwise, what is the fun of calling the function again and again? It helps us to modularize code and improve readability. Suppose I am using this Fahrenheit function 100 times in my program. Now if I have not used functions, then I have to check 100 times in my program where I have done the mistake, if there is any error. Now using functions, we just call it and the code is written here only. So you have to change this code only. The places where this function is called, it will give the same result. And it helps us to remove redundancy and makes debugging easier. Now I have told you we have two types of functions. One is built-in function and another is user-defined functions. The functions that we use, like len, we use sum function, we use print function, those are built-in functions that we have not defined. The functions defined just here, like I have created a conversion function, I have created here greater function, these are user defined function. And I also showed you what are parameters. Parameters are the values that we pass in the function call and that are received in the function definition. And return sends back the result of the function. And default parameter is when no parameter is passed, a function can take default parameter. And then we discussed about recursion. What is a recursion? Is when a function calls itself to solve a problem, and it's used for like where we have a sequence. It is used in those places like factorial calculation, Fibonacci sequence. You can try this also. You should use recursion for calculating this Fibonacci series. Must have a base case to prevent infinite loops. What is the base case? That I showed you this. If and you should have necessarily, while you are writing a program using recursion, you should remember that you should have at least one condition on which this recursion should stop. So here I showed you this, and these are the programs, and you should try these programs by yourself. You should not Google or do anything that, because it will help you to build your logic. So thank you very much. Tomorrow will be our lecture number 12, and in that we will discuss about the files. So thank you.